Hey, are we recording? We are recording. You can share your screen. Show settings. Turn off microphone. Oh, and hopefully this microphone is good. I try to use these ones. I can connect. I don't know why I can't connect. I might have to redo the meeting host. Might have to do a troubleshoot after this. Well, it's 7 a.m. now. My time Pacific. Good morning. It's a little laggy. I wonder if that's on my end or not. So yeah, so definitely, I'm not used to using this one with a pen site. I'm definitely used to the using Zoom, and also a different one too. So let's see how this one works out. Hopefully, it's good to go for us, but I'm pretty sure it will be. The people on the team behind Pensite have been awesome to me. They've been really helpful with setting up the courses, troubleshooting on my end, users end for issues. So that's good. Um, but yeah, it's 7:01. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Thank you for signing up with our membership here, our group program. Yeah. So the key with the program here is definitely to making sure that I connect with you guys through our chat, through our live coaching here. Right. It's having those reminders of our goal, right? What we want to achieve. For in this instance, it could be, it's our weight loss, it's our fitness improvement, or um, to maybe perhaps, to lose weight around that belly of right. And what you want to do is having that constant reminder every day. I read a lot of books on change and developing new habits, and there's always studies that show how important it is to have that constant reminder of what are my tasks for the day. Am I closer to my goal? Or it's been a couple weeks. What's happening? Where am I lagging? Where am I, perhaps making mistakes along my path? So that's why it's having those reminders of, okay, well, I got to eat healthy. I got to keep making sure that how I approach the day is with an open mind, and how I am behaving with my family, friends, and coworkers and colleagues. It's when I don't work out, when I don't hit the heavy bag, I can feel my stress rise. So I'm definitely more irritable. I'm definitely I'm not the smiley Ryan, um, or the energetic, perhaps, right? As much as I am once I do start training with kickboxing, so I can release that stress, so I can release that anger in a healthy way. And that is, a part of that is um, back to the daily reminder. Okay, well, if I am going to be in this position of, being a personal trainer, being a fitness transformation coach, a mentor, leadership, um, uh, leadership or a leader in for my community, I got to make sure that I show up every day at the best as I can be. So that's eating healthy, eating right, handling my stress, making sure that I communicate effectively, so that other people and other participants and family members and community can see and hear what I'm trying to convey, that will benefit myself and also the people that are in my life, right? And fitness is definitely a major component to making sure that I am successful in that regard. Um, I'm not sure if you guys know about my history, right? No, I'm 42 years young now today, but when I was, from 14 to 18, I'll be addicted to heroin off and on for years. And it's that lifestyle will have its own system in place. For example, like the people I hang out with, my anger, my self-image inside the mind, how I think that uh, how let me rephrase that. If I'm being healthy today and I choose to be healthy, what actions does that partake? Right? We're trying to change. We're trying to drink, to have more water intake, less sugar, less processed foods. Right. So back when I was 14 to 18, being addicted to heroin, I was living a lifestyle that system played in. Right. So I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, who is, at that time, gang related or gang affiliated. Definitely a lot more violence within the self, and also through verbal communication with other people. And that's how, you know once I fast forward, I'm kind of doing a quick run through on this. But from 14, 18, addicted to heroin off and on, hanging out with the gang lifestyle, not taking care of myself whatsoever. But also too, like, um, just weeks after turning 18, I would, become incarcerated. And it would be that point, that fork in the road in my life, because I was definitely, just like how you would advance in your career in certain aspects, I was advancing my criminal career in certain aspects. Uh, and we after I got arrested, I got on bail. And in less than 2 weeks again, I was incarcerated again for a far more serious crime. And I went in and I did 11 months. Um, thankfully, I always say how blessed it was for me to become incarcerated, because I was going down a path that was far more dangerous and far more deep into my addiction. And it's thank the creator, thank the higher power that I had to go through that, and to really look at myself and see why I was choosing behaviors and actions that led me to that position in my life, being incarcerated. So once I got out, I turned 19. I turned 19 in jail. So in Canada, I'm in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and 18 is considered adult. So hopefully you guys can say, "Oh wow, you're 42. You look young." But when I was 18, I look I looked like a kid. 18 years old. I was like what 100 less than 150 pounds. Um, 5'8", really tall in heart, by the way. And yeah, no, I looked young. I remember when I first got arrested, and I was driving to Vancouver downtown jail cell, uh, handcuffed. I was coming out of the wagon, the jail paddy wagon, and one of I guess the correction officers, he looked at me. He's like, "Hey, he can't be here," and he's like, "No, no, he's 18," and he's in the correction officer like, "Oh, all right." Yeah, so that was yeah. Anyways, yeah, about turning 19 inside. Spending 11 months. Thankfully, I did get parole, and yeah, no, I had to change absolutely everything about me, the way I dressed, the way I behaved, the way I talked, the input that I was feeding myself. At that time was once I got out on parole, I had to go through a halfway house, and one of their key components of the curriculum or the system they had was, having religion. Um, uh, Having religion activities, and going through 12 steps and going through counseling, going through, which I love, was life skills at the time, or not at the time, but life skills program that they had. And I'm not good in school. I wasn't good in school at all. That's anyways, that's for another time. So anyways, yeah, so going through such a negative event that brought me to incarceration. Then once I did finally, get out, looking and seeing myself like, wow, I really have to change absolutely everything about me, because I'm going down a path that is not going to be healthy or long term or lucrative or healthy at all. So I changed absolutely everything, and that's what brought me to, which I loved about martial arts and fitness. When I was younger, I was not athletic at all whatsoever. I'm not, I didn't do any activities. On the weekends, I would try to do like, stuff with, friends and family and stuff. But I was never into sports, never liked it, never got into it. High school, 14, I was already, kind of going into a different direction. So at 19, when I was inside, I did started lifting some weights, and I did like that. I did like that. And I did feel how working out kind of improved my clarity, or clarity, kind of improved my mindset a little bit. So when I got out at 19, I went back to finished parole, 3 years of probation. I finished my adult dogwood, so adult high school. And being First Nations and and Chinese, I never knew my history. My grandmother, who was actually for the first 18 years of my life, I call her mom. She adopted me when I was a kid, a baby. But that's another conversation for another session. Um, what was I saying again? What was I talking about again? Oh yeah. So and then going from learning to those positions. I'll finish talking here in a second. Just giving you guys a quick little breakdown of who I am and why change and having a support system is so vital to our growth. Yeah. So, anyways, I didn't know about any First Nations background, so I went to a First Nations college, and I learned a lot about the history of Native Americans and First Nations and my heritage, which is huge eye opener. And with the world, what's going on in the states. I'm not sure where you guys are, you know, tuning in from, but it is, the world needs people. Again, there's going somewhere on a tangent, but no, the people need to have. There's just so much anger. There's so much mishap and tragic events is happening in the world that we have to focus on. Yes, on change. But I can't change the person across the street. The only person I can change and is myself, the man looking in this mirror, the man looking in the reflection. That's the only power I have. If I go out today and be angry and think of myself less than or better than, that's I live in Vancouver. A lot of new people here. Hopefully I don't get banned on that one or canceled. But yeah, no. Anyways, yeah, no. It's making sure that how we behave and how we change for fitness and health and to be better in every way that we can. That is the key. That is the key. So that's why it's important for us to have this connection, to communicate, to celebrate our wins together here, through chat, through video. We are all over the world, and the power of community is so powerful. And saying words again, I gotta update my vocabulary. The power of community is so important that we lift each other up, and not just by ourselves. You guys are not here alone. You guys are not here alone. We're here together. Let's capitalize on this group coaching, on this group sessions, on this group dynamic, so we can improve each other, so we can become better. All right, it's about 13. But yeah, so no, dive in into the course material. If anything that doesn't pop up, or if you can't have access to, let me know, please. Shoot me a group message on the group chat here. And yeah, no, let's be honest. Let's connect. Let's make fitness happen. Let's make fitness a reality. And from that newfound fitness and exercise of being healthy, let's expand that success to other areas of our life, showing up to work, showing up to our families, in the best version of ourselves. All right, 713, be healthy, share your wins. For example, yesterday there was a huge event thing on Commercial Drive in Vancouver. I think it was called Italian Days or Car Free Day, and there's a whole bunch of food vendors. And it was really hot, super hot. Thankfully, in Vancouver, it's finally hot. I was walking down, and I saw mini donuts, and I saw all these other goodies. I'm like, you know what? I can't have this, because if I'm walking down this street for like, it's a good long street, I am gonna go get banana bread, chocolate banana bread, and you know what? I loved it. So we can still have our treats. We can still, enjoy the sugary, or whatever you like, to a point, to a balance. All right. So no, But yeah, anyway, 714, thank you for being here. Be strong, be healthy, keep that positive mind going, and look through the course material. I'll keep updating it as we go through. And yeah, let's make it happen. Bye.